Federal government suspends resumption of Abuja-Kaduna train service. NIMET predicts 3-day dust haze and sunshine from Monday. Plus, police detain 2 people at Shanghai's protest sites. Hello, welcome to News Live on Viewer Television. I am Dorcas Bello. Now, the resumption date for the Abuja-Kaduna rail service announced by the federal government through the Ministry of Transportation has been extended. The Minister of Transportation, Muazu Sambo, made this revelation during an inspection tour to assess the readiness of the Abuja-Kaduna rail service before the commencement of operation. The minister, who could not give a definite date for the resumption of the rail service, however, states that its resumption would not be more than a week. The federal government had last week stated that on Monday, 28 November 2022, the Abuja-Kaduna rail service will resume operations. The rail service of the Abuja-Kaduna train was suspended following the attack on the train on the 28th of March 2022 when terrorists planted explosives that derailed the train. The Osun State Governor, Senator Ademola Adeleke, has directed security agents to take over the palaces of Owa Igabajo, Are of Iri, and Akinru of Ikiru. The directive was one of the executive orders signed by the governor. The spokesperson for the governor, Olawale Rashid, in a statement obtained in Osogbo, explained that the contents of the 6 orders signed by Adeleke also stated that all appointments of traditional rulers made by the immediate past administration after July 17, 2022 would be reviewed. The statement also said the governor had reversed all appointments in the service of Osun State government made into the capacity in all of the ministries, departments and agencies, and also commissions and boards, parastatals, after July 17th. The orders signed in this morning by His Excellency covered chieftaincy matters, appointment issues, setting up of a review panel, staff audit, and employment matters. Now, the Court of Appeal in Abuja has confirmed Bashir Machina as the authentic All-Progressive Congress candidate of the Yobe North Senatorial District. The court upheld the judgment of the Federal High Court sitting in Damaturu, Yobe State, which held that the President of the Senate, Ahmed Lawan, is not the APC candidate for Yobe North Senatorial District in next year's election into the National Assembly. The court had submitted that Lawal did not participate in the legally recognized primary election of the APC to select its candidate in the election held on 28th May 2022. Delivering the judgment on the appeal filed by the President of the Senate, a 3-member panel of the Appellate Court led by Justice Monica Dongbang Mismem held the primary election conducted by the party on 9th June is invalid rather, as it was in breach of the Constitution. The Court of Appeal Ibadan Division has set aside the judgment of the Federal High Court, Abeokuta, Ogun State, which ordered the People's Democratic Party to conduct fresh primaries for the 2023 election in the state. Justice Oguntoyin had in a September 27th judgment nullified the primary election conducted by the PDP in Ogun State and directed the State Executive Committee of the party to conduct fresh primaries within 14 days. The ruling followed a suit filed by Jimmy Lawal challenging the election of Dr. Oladipopu Adebutu as the governorship candidate of the party for the 2023 election. While delivering judgment in an appeal filed by the PDP Justice Fola Shade Ojo said the lower court was wrong in its judgment as the only National Working Committee of the PDP is vested with the power to conduct primaries. The Inspector General of Police, Usman Alkali Baba, has directed Commissioners of Police in charge of state commands to activate the Interagency Consultative Committee on Election Security. A statement by the Force Public Relations Officer CPS Olumuyiwa Adejobi said the order was to engage stakeholders in evolving strategies to mitigate threats to the 2023 general elections. The IGP notes that political violence, hate speech, threats, political intolerance, misinformation, and political extremism are all potential threats to our democracy and national security interests. Alkali Baba also directs all the commissioners of police in the state commands to ensure adequate and strategic deployment of personnel and assets, as well as coordinate, deploy, and supervise personnel from other security agencies scheduled for election duty in accordance to ICCES directives. Plateau North Senator I.D. Gang is calling on the people of Plateau North Senatorial District to rally support for Atiku and Mutfwang for president and governorship elections in the 2023 general elections. I.D. Gang made this appeal during the training he organized for women and youths on post-harvest farming at Elim Top Suit, Rayfield, Jos, the Plateau State capital. Now, our correspondent Nasser Saidu tells us more.
Distinguished Senator I.D. Gang is a voice that cannot be easily forgotten at the National Assembly, especially with his firm stand on national issues. At this political season, I.D. Gang made a special appeal to the people of Plateau North Senatorial District, asking them to give their complete support to Atiku and Mutfwang ahead of 2023 general elections.
By the grace of God, I believe that you will be supporting me to vote our presidential candidate. Yeah. Atiku. The vice presidential candidate came to Jos. I came together with him on Saturday to commission the Atiku Mutfwang office, and we left together. And we can't bring him to Jos and then you will not vote for the PDP. So we are makers of good news, and that is why we'll take the state and we'll take the federal. And I'm believing that they are going to support me strongly in this.
I.D. Gang says with Atiku as the president and Mutfwang as the governor, the current security and economic difficulties faced by citizens will be addressed.
I had to make a special appeal for my constituents to back me up in support to our presidential candidate, Atiku Abubakar, one that is well prepared, well equipped. He has the requisite experience, the know-how, and is someone that is passionate, has been tested. And we need a leader of his caliber and standing. Having had experience as a vice president in this country, I believe, along with the greater part of Nigerians, that he's better equipped to provide the kind of leadership Nigeria deserves and we have been yearning for. The same vein in the state, Barrister Caleb Mutfwang is our candidate, and that is why I appeal for massive support so that Plateau State will again come into good leadership and good governance, so that both at the national and the state level would have the leadership that will bring peace to Nigeria, bring progress, and take Nigeria and position her among the Committee of Nations and take us out of banditry, out of terrorism, out of insecurity, out of the economic quagmire that we're already in.
With a few months until the 2023 general elections, the senator is confident that the PDP will wipe away the tears of Nigerians. Nasru Saidu, VOA TV News, Jos.
You're still watching News Live. When the news returns, the Nigerian Meteorological Agency has predicted dust, haze and sunshine from Monday to Wednesday across the country. Details of this and many more comes to you right after this break. Do stay with us.
Good morning, gentlemen. I'm at the Envoy Hotel, Diplomatic Drive 305, here for a business weekend. It's been an amazing stay. Conference hall and business facilities here are stylish and innovative. The Envoy Hotel is luxury, esoteric, opulence, for ultimate comfort.
Discerning travelers, we are more than just a place to stay. We are an icon of comfort, style, and thoughtful luxury. We are Envoy Hotel.
Pararam pra reparar, estão ouvindo esse som, pulsando seco no ar, merece nossa atenção. Preparem bem os sensores para poder captar. Parem usinas, motores.
Welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is News Live. Now, a recap of our top stories. Federal government suspends resumption of Abuja-Kaduna train service. NIMET predicts 3-day dust, haze, sunshine from Monday. Plus, police detain 2 people at Shanghai protest site. Now, the Nigerian Meteorological Agency has predicted dust, haze and sunshine from Monday to Wednesday across the country. NIMET's weather outlook in Abuja predicts slight dust haze over the northern and north-central region, with prospects of moderate dust haze over Borno, Yobe, Jigawa, Kano, Katsina and Kaduna State throughout the forecast period. It forecasts a sunny atmosphere with a few patches of cloud over the inland and coastal cities of south in the morning and later in the day. The agency says dust participles are in suspension and the public should take necessary precautions. Also, people with asthma and other respiratory issues should be cautious of the present weather situation. Now let's head over to Plateau State, where distinguished Senator ID Gang of Plateau North Senatorial District has organized training for 216 women and youths on post-harvest farming. The training is in partnership with Federal College of Horticulture Datinkowo Gome, in conjunction again with Pure Diamond Consult Limited, was held at Elim Top Suits, Rayfield, Jos, the Plateau State capital. Our correspondent Nasser Saidu has this report.
With unrelenting population growth across the world, natural disasters and security challenges, countries can no longer afford to waste food. These are participants drawn from Plateau North Senatorial District in attendance of training on post-harvest season organized by Plateau North Senator ID Gang.
It is all about empowering our farmers with knowledge, particularly the youth and the women in the agricultural value chain, knowing that it's not just enough to engage in production of farm crops. The next thing is preservation and processing where necessary. All of this is to ensure that the farmers derive maximum benefit.
Over time, we have observed that when you produce an item, especially tomato, fruits, etc., what happens is over time, it gets spoiled. We are here to teach people on how to preserve these products and then see how possibly they can stay in for a longer period of time.
Even when he has some months to exit the office, he's working. He's working. As a party, we are so proud of you. Let us, in appreciation, also clap for the next assignment God has for him.
For these participants, the training is timely.
For me as a person, this training is timely. Plateau is an agrarian area with a lot of agricultural products being wasted. And for the senator to have had a thought of bringing people to teach them about preservation, I think that is very, very timely.
So once you can farm and then store it, it will not get perished, you preserve it and keep it to use for another day. Economically, it will go a long way.
It will serve as an opportunity for people to be well informed and acquainted on how to learn the best of global practices of food preservation, and then how to also sustain themselves beyond the rainy season, because basically they are also looking at beyond the rainy season.
I want to deeply appreciate God for the opportunity to represent this constituency, and continue to work up to the end of this tenure, even as we believe God that a dispensation is coming that would be better positioned again to deliver service, not only to this constituency, but to the nation, as we are already doing.
216 participants are presented a certificate of participation, and 300 constituents receive cash gifts. Nasru Saidu, Fiwa TV News, Jos.
Now let's head elsewhere. In keeping with his campaign promise to place healthcare at the front burner of his administration's policy, Governor Inuwa Yahaya has yet again commissioned a health clinic in Gombe State. Our correspondent, Christopher Luca, was there and now reports.
This is the newly completed Doma Health Clinic, Jekadafari, a brainchild of the collaboration between the community, state government and international partners. Jekadafari, aside being one of the oldest wards in Gombe, has large population comprising of women and children in dire need of such facilities. Inuwa Yahaya recollects the sordid state he had made healthcare centers in the state and how his administration built and equipped at least one primary healthcare facility in all the 114 political wards of Gombe State.
Go around Gombe and see, there is no ward in Gombe that we have not done something similar or even better than this. And we shall continuously work on that so that at the end of the day, our people will be the better because they brought a government that is their own and they brought a government that is working for them and that will continue to work for them.
Dr. Walter Kazadi is a representative of the World Health Organization. While commending the timeliness of the project, he recalls how Inuwa Yahaya shared his success story in healthcare at the Chatham House in the United Kingdom.
This is really a testimony that you truly walk the talk. Pandemic starts in the community and the end in the community. So bringing healthcare closely to the community, like we are witnessing today, is truly commendable, and I would like to congratulate you on behalf of all the partners.
Dr. Habud Ahiru, Commissioner of Health, Gombe State, says Inuwa has remained completely true to upholding community health, as he had promised even before coming into power.
You recall during his electioneering campaign, he did emphasize that he will bring in healthcare to the doorstep and to the grassroots. And today we are witnessing the commissioning of Doma Health Clinic, which will provide primary healthcare services, especially in the areas of immunization, in the areas of antenatal care, safe hospital delivery, and care, nutritional service, and health education.
The telltale expressions of joy on the faces of the mammoth crowd at the commissioning seem to communicate the desirability of Doma Health Clinic in the Jekadafari community. Christopher Luca, Viewer Television News, Gombe.
Now let's head back to just where the Nigerian Union of Journalists Plateau State Council has organized training for journalists on election coverage and entrepreneurship ahead of the 2023 general elections. Our correspondent Nasser Saidu was at the Hotel Samaritan Rayfield just and now reports.
The 2023 general elections are a few months away, and the role of journalists is critical. The Nigerian Union of Journalists Plateau State Chapter organized this two-day training on election coverage and entrepreneurship to prepare the media practitioners ahead of the 2023 general elections.
We know that elections are around the corner. And as reporters, people who go out there to the field to report, we ought to sharpen our skills so that when we are out to do our jobs, we would not make the mistake of not reporting correctly what really happened there. It is for this reason that we thought that we should bring together stakeholders to speak to us, to let us know, share their thoughts, and let us know how it is being done and how they see.
Commissioner of Information Plateau State and resource persons comment on the role of journalists and call for responsibility in the election coverage.
And I want to vouch for journalists in the Plateau. They have conducted themselves in the most professional way. We have reported election matters with utmost sense of professionalism, but I want to add that we should sharpen ourselves and sharpen our skills. Whoever that has come up with this training has taught it wise and has taught rightly,
and reliably informed. This training is one of the series of training organized by your union for the journalists to play active roles in democratic transitions and nation building in Nigeria by promoting the emergence of politically better informed electorates through inclusiveness in the Nigerian electoral system.
As we all know, the media, especially the journalists, are one of the most critical stakeholders in the election process. As it has happened in the time past, that we're able to kind of provide an enabling environment that makes all the political parties no bias to do their campaign without problem, including the journalists, because they need to be safe to be able to report what they are doing. What the government wants to say after, I guess you don't intend to do that.
The two-day training organized by the NUJ Plateau State Chapter is aimed at strengthening the scope of journalists ahead of 2023 election coverage. Nasser Seidu, VOA TV News, Jos.
Now elsewhere, Bauchi State Health Contributory Management Agency, in collaboration with a non-governmental organization, Journalists for Public Health and Development Initiatives, have organized a one-day training for media practitioners working in Bauchi with the aim of enlightening them on the operation of the agency and the Bauchi State Health Contributory Scheme. Our Bauchi State correspondent Awal Hassan observes the critical role of journalists as stakeholders in the health sector, as described by the Executive Secretary of the agency, Dr. Mansour Dada, and now completes this report.
The Bauchi State Health Contributory Management Agency, BASHMA, is at the forefront of improving universal health coverage. It seeks, among other objectives, to provide easy financial access to healthcare services, ensure continuous improvement of the quality of healthcare services, as well as to improve private sector participation. In order to achieve the state objectives, there is the need for proper dissemination of information, and this is what informs the decision of BASHMA to organize this training for journalists.
What we want to, the information we want to pass is about BASHMA and the scheme, and we are expecting each and every one to be aware. So we are actually training you so that you can pass the message to the general populace of Bauchi State about the Bauchi State Health Contributory Scheme and all its programs.
The Bauchi State Health Contributory Scheme has three basic programs which are all beneficial to the general public.
So we have the formal sector program, we have the informal sector program, and we have the vulnerable program. We have already started the vulnerable program. The vulnerable program has now a cover of about 52,000 people across each and every ward of the 323 wards across the state are now benefiting from this service for the past 18 months. So that is the vulnerable program. We have started the informal sector. I think we have reached around 150 people that are benefiting from the informal sector. What we are about to start now is the formal sector. The formal sector is the one for the local state and local government workers. Okay? That's the state and local government workers. So that is what we are planning to do.
To effectively achieve universal health coverage, resource mobilization is another key factor that will help in the proper funding of the program.
The larger amount of money that we're going to come for the success of this program is going to actually come from government for the enrollment of the vulnerable. While also the private sector, as part of private sector resource mobilization, they can also contribute to the enrollment of the vulnerable population, either through Adopt a Family initiative, or through philanthropism, or through religious bodies can come together, or either zakat or any of those funds that are available to help the needy.
Participants are drawn from various media outfits, including community radios, who play critical roles towards informing the grassroots populace, and viewer television was part of it. Awal Hassan, Viewer TV News, Bauchi.
You're still watching News Live on Viewer Television. Business, international, and entertainment news comes to you right after this break. Do stay tuned. Now, amid an economic downturn and rising inflation, the tax burden on Nigerians in the first 9 months of 2022 increased by 285.13 billion naira. This is as Nigerians paid 2.01 trillion naira in indirect taxes in the period under review, a 16.57% increase from the 1.72 trillion naira paid in the corresponding period of 2021, according to the Nigerian Bureau of Statistics. Calculated based on current basic prices, indirect taxes are taxes such as value-added taxes, customs, or import duties paid to the government by a producer that are later passed on to the consumer. According to the NBS, the nation's gross domestic product grew by 2.25% in real terms in the third quarter of 2022, a 4.03% decline from the third quarter of 2021. Now, the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Mohammed Bello, says telecommunications operators who want to deploy broadband infrastructure in green areas will only pay 14.50 naira as right-of-way charges. Bello notes that the discounted charges would be from December 1st, 2022 and run for the next 2 years. He revealed this at the official launch of some projects approved by the Federal Executive Council under the Ministry of Communications and Digital Economy in Abuja. According to the FCT minister, green areas are places lacking any telecommunication infrastructure in FCT. In 2018, the federal government and the 36 states of the Federation, as well as the Federal Capital Territory Administration, agreed on the harmonization of right-of-way charges across the country. The lowest price the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited can sell premium motor spirit, popularly called petrol, to marketers, assuming there is no subsidy, is 400 naira per litre. Oil marketers who made this disclosure also gave other reasons for the continued scarcity of petrol, which has led to the lingering queues at filling stations nationwide. They say PMS import charges were becoming unbearable for the sole importer of the commodity. The Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited disclosing that the NNPC had been subtly pushing these charges to depot owners. It was learned that the depot owners on their own part were also passing the charges to filling stations, which in turn pushed it to final consumers of the product, a development that has led to the increase in the pump price of the commodity. The volume of bad debt recovered by banks fell by 18% year-on-year to 28.68 billion naira in 9 months ended September 30th. This is reflecting the severe impact of the hostile environment of businesses across the country. Also, as a result of the challenging economic situation, more debtors defaulters on loan repayments during the period, leading to a 32% year-on-year increase in loan losses to 165.46 billion naira recorded by banks from 125.68 billion naira in the corresponding period of 2021. And consequently, loan recovery as a ratio of loan losses fell by 11%, point to 17% during this period. Financial Vanguard findings from the operating results of 10 banks for the 9 months ended September 30th, 2022 show that 7 banks recorded decline in loan recovery, while 3 recorded increases. Now, Chinese police detained 2 people on Monday on a site in Shanghai where demonstrators gathered over the weekend to protest COVID-19 lockdowns and call for greater political freedom. Police were also pulling people aside and ordering them to delete photos from their phones. Large crowds had gathered in the downtown area, with police clashing with protesters as they tried to stop groups from converging at the Wulumikwi streets, named after the Mandarin for Urumikwi. Journalists say several people detained on Sunday evening and multiple witnesses saw people taken away in earlier protests too. Shanghai police had not responded on Monday to repeated inquiries about how many people had been detained. Now, tens of thousands of people packed out the streets of Mexico City in a massive show of support for President Andres Lopez. The crowd came from near and far after pushback to the president's political agenda in recent weeks, including a protest march of similar size against him. Critics fear his ideas from electoral reform could lead to a grab for power. He says they would rather improve democracy. The World Health Organization has renamed monkeypox as Mpox, citing concerns the original name of the decade-old animal disease could be construed as discriminatory and racist. The UN Health Agency said in a statement that Mpox was its new preferred name for monkeypox, saying that both monkey and Mpox would be used for the next year while the old name is phased out. WHO says it was concerned by the racist and stigmatization language that arose after monkeypox spread to more than 100 countries. It said numerous individuals and countries asked the organization to propose a new way forward to change the name. To date, there has been more than 80,000 cases identified in dozens of countries that had not previously reported the smallpox-related disease. Until May, monkeypox, a disease that is thought to originate in animals, was not known to trigger large outbreaks beyond Central and West Africa. Hundreds of people took to the streets in China's major cities to protest against the country's zero-COVID policy in a rare outpouring of public anger against the state. China's hardline virus strategy in stoking public frustration, with many growing weary of snap lockdowns, lengthy quarantines, and mass testing campaigns. A deadly fire in Urumqi, the capital of northwest China's Xinjiang region, has become a fresh catalyst for public anger, and many blaming COVID lockdowns for hampering rescue efforts. The crowds were singing the national anthem and listening to speeches, while on the other side of the canal bank, a line of police cars waited. Cars honked in support as people remained in the area until the early hours, chanting and waving blank sheets of paper symbolizing censorship. South Korea failed to reach agreement with striking truckers in first sessions of talks on Monday. It marks the 5th day of the nationwide walkout, which is causing supply chain glitches and a shortage of concrete at building sites. The government estimates daily losses from the sabotage at around $224 million, with supplies of cement and fuel for gas stations also running short. Container traffic at ports was barely a fifth of normal levels on Monday morning. It is the second major strike in under 6 months, by thousands of truckers demanding better pay and conditions. Now, actor Will Smith says he would completely understand if movie watchers are not ready to see him in his new film, Emancipation, after he slapped comedian Chris Rock on stage at Oscar earlier this year. Emancipation is the first new Smith movie to be released since he slapped Rock in the face in March. Smith had slapped Rock in response to a joke the comedian made about Smith's wife, Jada, and her alopecia, an autoimmune disease that causes hair loss. Since the incident, Smith had apologized multiple times and resigned as a member of the Academy. Popular Nigerian artist Davido has made his first public appearance after the death of his son Ifeanyi. The singer was in Osun State for the inauguration of his uncle and governor-elect Ademola Adeleke as next governor of the state. The music star had been grieving the loss of his son as he became inactive on social media platforms and avoided public events. However, the singer seemed to be over the loss as he joined family and friends in preparation for the inauguration of his uncle Ademola. Kanye West is being taken to task by Vivica A. Fox for including a clip of her in one of his presidential campaign videos. In the video that Kanye posted in Twitter, Vivica is seen criticizing him over his recent actions, and she said offended her and the black community. Fox jumped to Twitter to set the GOOD music founder straight, accusing him of misrepresenting her. Fox is just the latest high-profile celebrity to break publicly with Kanye West. Donald Trump recently took to his Truth social platform to detail his meeting with Kanye, describing the encounter as quick and uneventful. Well, that's all that we can take on the news tonight. But before we go, a recap of the major stories. Federal government suspends resumption of Abuja-Kaduna train service. NIMET predicts 3-day dust, haze and sunshine from Monday. Plus, police detain 2 people at Shanghai protest site. Many thanks for watching News Live. I am Dorcas Bello. Please stay tuned and enjoy the rest of our programs. It's goodbye for tonight.